Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. So I wanted to put my disclaimer out here before we get into this video. So again, thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and please leave your respectful comments below. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. The opinions expressed on this channel is not necessarily the opinions of others or the channel host. I also want to add this video is also for entertainment purposes as well. And because majority of this information is already out here, it is public information. It happened in the past trial, some of the things that are in this video, and then there are things that are currently going on in this current trial right now. So therefore, I am able to put up this disclaimer, and I am going to use my First Amendment constitutional rights to report information. Thank you all very much. So let's get into this video. Well, the real enterprise. So let's recap. There are several players in the saga of RSK. One man is not an enterprise. Now, we realize that in the judicial system, we saw we had a Me Too movement judge. Now, in this Me Too movement, in that trial with the Me Too movement judge, we saw what was going on in this Me Too movement trial of this judge and even the prosecutorial staff. She oversaw oversaw this closed case to the public. This trial was a closed case. It was part of a liberal feminist group. She was part of this liberal feminist group. Also, she had a biased attitude and behavior towards the defendant and the defense's team, right? She allowed prosecutors to manipulate the jury, laws, and use outdated laws to convict the accused. Also, assisted in the withholding of evidence. I believe that's alleged, but I believe that that's also what happened as well, and refused to allow evidence that could vindicate RSK or to be in his favor. Also, she used 30 years of false allegations to convict and sentence RSK. The lack of competency, a conflict of interest, being that she is a relative of someone that was involved in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. She refused to recuse herself so the trial could be fair. So this was not a fair trial, as we all know that. Now, we know that there's not going to be any real justice for the alleged victims. Now, if there were victims, not because of their age, not just because of their age, but we realize that there will not be real justice if there were real victims. It won't, because not allowing evidence into a case to make sure that the truth gets out there, and then having the trial closed because of the supporters of R. Kelly, the fans, and then just people seeking justice, was really unfair to the public, because there was a lot of stuff that happened on that stand that was not reported, and the media reported things one-sided. And apparently from the media saying that they had to do it that way because that's what the prosecution wanted. But again, when you look at this trial, it definitely, in the New York trial, there was a lot of things that came out, and even perjury on the stand. Testimonies should have been impeached, but they were not. And so it's like this judge enabled the alleged victims to keep the same behaviors prior to the trial and then during the trial. And you still see some things going on after the trial of them saying that they were victims, but they are still participating in things that doesn't show real victimhood. And so it's really sad that this had to get to this. And I believe that overall there was an unfair handling of the New York trial. Now, let's get to this other person that's, one of the ones in this, that's in this that's been testifying on the stand. Let's get to that. Now, we understand, I'm going to use LVA, and most of you that's been following this know who LVA is. She made herself known, well known, on many public platforms and talk shows and, things like that and social media. So she traveled from state to state to transport, the sale, distribute, and deliver a tape with an alleged minor for monetary value. And so when I look at this person, I look at a manipulator, an extortioner, crime, thievery, possession, promotion, distribution, and trafficking. Because she went on several public platforms and social media platforms impersonating a minor, like herself. She impersonated, saying she was 17 when in fact she was 18 years of age. She's been lying since the age of 18 that we are aware of, but if you've known her prior to that, she might have been participating in that as well as far as lying. But we know her to be lying as far as her age on a man that is currently incarcerated and serving 30 years for a scam. It was a scam, and her aim was to do what she did. She participated in adult pornography with the accused wife and alleged minor, because remember, she said that the person in the video was a minor, but she also said that she thought she was older than that, and so forth and so forth. So you'll have to go back and listen to the transcripts, because I don't want to say something that could be incorrect. So I'm going to just know that she's done that based on testimony that she participated in adult pornography, but she also said there was a minor in the video, which I don't believe it was, but okay. Now, she introduced the accused to a 3S, which most of you know what that is, and then she was the side chick or the mistress while the accused was married. So she was messing around with a married man. And that's just what it was. So, I mean, even if he was married, I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying this is what was going on. And we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about accountability in the end. Now, she used RSK trauma against him while saying she identified with him only to use his trauma against him. And I do believe that that's what she did. She gained, his trust, and he opened up with her. And then she really went around using against him by lying and manipulating, and even with this tape that she has, tried to, traffic. She did traffic it. She did, mail it off, and we'll get to that as well. And then she harassed another female who we know the female to be Jane, which resulted in Jane having to change her phone number to get away from this particular female. She even called on other witnesses. And wouldn't you say something that could be witness tampering or interfering in a state trial of the other witnesses? Because she called them and tried to, attempted to call other witnesses to alert of her and their testimony, kind of like coordinating testimonies using a Facebook platform as well, maybe to see if their testimony could align with what she had already said during her testimony. Okay. And then the U.S. Marshals had to pick her up and transport her to the trial to the court, because she didn't want to go. She was trying to get away because, she knew where she was at. I think people know where they're at when they do things and they get caught up. And then she claimed she was helping the alleged minor, but looking out for her own interests. So she did not turn in the alleged minor tape to the authorities. She held on to it because she knew that she could eventually try to make money off of it. So she held on to it. But you know what? Most manipulators are out for their own interests, not somebody else's. They claim they're out for, the good of someone else, but really they're not. They're out for their own interests, and they have an aim. And, her aim was to go out and do what she did. It was not just, she had intentions, but it was intentional. And she actually did that. And she also wrote a book. She wrote this book, and it's full of lies. So I, in my opinion, think the book needs to be pulled. If you're going to write a book, it should be based on fiction, not on facts, because it can't be a book that is based on the truth, because a lot of what she said is just not the truth. So she wrote this book, and it's out there for sale, but it should be pulled because she promoted this book falsely. Because when you promote a book saying that you're writing it based on a true story and you're lying, and it's found out that you're lying, then the book needs to be pulled. And then the other thing was she was granted immunity for her testimony. but there are other activities and behaviors and testimony that clearly uh, should should bring charges. And I believe that, because what was her immunity? She was granted immunity, but what was it? Just to get on the stand and tell the truth, which we see that she did not. And there's a lot of things that she did that should not warrant immunity. It should warrant for her to be charged with criminal offenses. She should be charged because, and the fact is that she went around lying to all these news outlets, which they should have vetted the information, but they were so quick to follow along because for 30 years there's been these rumors out here, and he had gotten off, in his 2008 trial. So therefore, a lot of people just jumped on bandwagons and believed it, and crabs in a barrel, when in fact, the information, we should have waited to see what would happen. And for these laws to be passed to go all the way back is just, it's a lack of humanity towards man. And so, uh, but lying on the stand, contacting witnesses, you know, uh, even participating in activity, with an alleged minor, just lying all the way around. And she did this for years, and so in my opinion, she should not get immunity, because she wasn't truthful and the things that she did. And when you really look at being an extortioner, possession of alleged child pornography, promoting it, distribution and trafficking is truly a crime. And maybe she should be charged with a RICO, because really she was the one doing all of that. She's the one that initiated it. She's the one that went in the bags and stole the tapes. And not only did she steal tapes, but she stole his jewelry, she stole his money. It was a lot of things she did. And why would you need another person to hold on to money that you had? Is it because you wanted to cover up the stolen money? So there's a lot of things that happen in this case, and we have to take these things serious. Some of it you might find to be comical, but I'm keeping it real. We have to take these things serious and into consideration on the things that this woman has done. And here we have Chuck Freeman. He did not turn over the alleged minor tape to authorities because they would not pay him for the 100,000 or more, whatever it was, to hand over the tape. He traveled from state to state to exchange alleged illegal goods for monetary value. He states he entered into a transaction, and it may have been an illegal transaction or some type of contract. He lied on the stand. The contradictions in his testimony were very high. He could not remember his lines from the coaching of the prosecutorial team. None of his testimony made sense. And Michael Avenatti was his alleged attorney and helped participate in trafficking of such alleged tape. There you have Michael Avenatti, a disgraced, corrupt attorney, participated in the transport of alleged minor sex tape, met in a disclosed location in a major airport to participate in extortion of the accused, attempted to extort money from the accused and his criminal background clients, and one of his clients was alleged Chuck Freeman. And so he had something to do with that tape being altered. I truly believe that, because the tape was definitely altered. And you can tell that it was altered. The one that they played in the courtroom, and according to testimony and according to the people that were able to be in the courtroom, you could tell and just hear that it was just an altered tape. And then, he attempted to extort money from Nike. And so this man really is a fallen attorney. He even allegedly abused his girlfriend and his former wife. And he abused money. You remember, he stole money from his clients. And then he had the nerve to, this false impersonation of acting like he was a prosecutor or a district attorney or state attorney. He was thinking he was bigger than who he really is. And he was out here holding press conferences and lying. And he didn't even take the tape to the authorities, as he lied on one of the interviews and said he took it to Kimberly Fox. No, he took it to CNN and allowed them to watch the tape before he took it to arrange to have it taken, given to Kimberly Fox. If you go back, he actually took the tapes to CNN and they watched alleged child pornography. So sad. And then it went to Kimberly Fox. And then she came out. This is just a bad, horrendous situation here. And it's just sad. The lengths that people will go to. The great lengths that people will go to bring somebody down for their own greed. The love of money is the root of all evil. When you love money to the extent that you will hurt other people and commit crimes and wrongdoing, extortion. And then not only that, but he trafficked the tapes also. If you really think about it, because he took them to CNN. He trafficked them. He promoted them. He was out there doing press conferences. And I believe, and I'm going to say alleged, but I believe that he had a lot to do with altering those tapes, because the clients that he had, remember, the Clarys and allegedly Chuck Freeman, and he took them to CNN, and then Kimberly Fox. And why didn't he just actually go to the authorities? Why did he really, even though R. Kelly's from Chicago, Kimberly Fox is Chicago, but why didn't he take them to the authorities, period? Because he had an aim as well. He had an ulterior motive as well. See, I keep saying you have to be careful what you say about people and what you do to people. Because eventually it will be the favor will be returned back to you. And see, we know it as reaping what you sow. We also know it as karma. We also know what goes around comes around. We know those things. But the favor was returned back to him. Because look at where he's at. Can't practice law. He was convicted. Facing other charges. Just sad. And I don't wish anything bad upon anyone. But you know what? People need to be held accountable. Held accountable. Does that mean that you shouldn't forgive folks for their wrongdoing? No. But does that mean that there's consequences for their participation in wrongdoings and corrupt and evilness and wickedness and sin? Yes. There is consequences. There are definitely consequences. And then when you look at, the Clarys, I mean, let's just tell the truth about this. It's already out here, so it's not like, I'm just making up things. They went on several platforms, including his own social media accounts, to bully and threaten others, to try to discredit others, to intimidate others. And he has a criminal background himself. He participated in withholding the truth about his alleged minor daughter and the reason behind the allegations. He wanted a record deal for his daughter. He felt he was entitled to that and owed that. And when that didn't happen for him, he was angry that his daughter didn't get the record deal. He was angry that the accused, who's currently on trial now, did not want to engage in any business transactions with him. He tried to extort money from the accused along with his disgraced attorney. He pitched business deals to the accused that were declined. He disrespected, bullied, threatened supporters, fans, and people seeking justice and the truth. And there's a lot of people that just wanted the truth. You don't have to be a fan or a supporter of anything, of anyone, just anyone. But you do have a right, whether you want to be a fan or a supporter, but you have a right to seek the truth and seek justice for someone else that you believe is being unfairly treated in the judicial system, and the scales are so tilted against the client You have a right to do that. And we as humans, in our human nature, I believe we all were born, most of us, many of us, to seek justice and the truth and facts instead of lies. Now, in the flesh, people will go out, will believe in rumors and gossip in the flesh. But I also believe you have got to have a very wicked heart to not have compassion and to do the things that some of these people did. And there is a difference between wickedness and weakness. Now, we may say that Mr. Kelly was weak, in his dealings with people, and we can ask God to hold him, to give him that strength to not be able to be weak anymore in the flesh and forgiving people and having a good heart. We can ask God to help him with that, because his heart, obviously he had a good heart. That's not going to change, and God doesn't want us to have a stony heart, but we can ask God to protect him and, to cover him and to show him a more excellent way to deal with other people. And that's what I'm saying, because there is a difference between weakness and wickedness. And I believe that these people were wicked. And it's hard, when people are wicked, you have to get away from them, because you can't change wicked people. No matter how much forgiving that you do, you cannot change the wicked heart. That's something that these people have got to see for themselves. They have to recognize they have wickedness in their heart, and they have to allow God to work in their lives. They have to turn their life over to Christ, ask for forgiveness, realize what they're doing is wrong, and ask God to forgive them. So no one can change somebody's wicked heart. No one at all. And in fact, we can't change anyone. Can we judge people righteously according to the scripture? Yes, we can. So I know there are people we can't know. We can judge according to scripture. But as far as judging people unrighteously, I don't want to participate in that. But when I look at these things, there were some people that truly had wicked hearts. They did. They had some true wicked hearts, ungodly behaviors, ungodly mindset, ungodly spirits. I mean, seriously. And then you have people that are weak that will forgive, that will keep helping, keep taking you back. And that's where we have to pray that God will protect the weak. And where you are weak, God will give you strength, and to cover people that are weak. And so that God can help them see clearly, not to allow people to have the same access to you again, to have the same access. And then also this person, back to, what he exploited his daughter by taking raunchy pictures and for call girl and pimping purposes. He did do that. We saw the pictures out on social media, so this is not, defamation or slander. We actually saw these raunchy pictures. We actually saw it, and from alleged that these pictures was used for his pornography, business, and that she had some type of alleged contract with her stepfather, is what we understood, alleged father, but stepfather. So he exploited her. And that's sad, because if we really, again, want to stop human trafficking, it takes everyone to speak up or to help in some kind of way to stop human trafficking. And we cannot enable people. We have to put the facts out there and the truth, not made up stories or personal opinions or what we think without vetting that information. And so I would say alleged to some things, but we saw the pictures. They were raunchy, half naked. They were very provocative for someone that has claimed victim status. And sometimes it's because of the person's age that they're claiming victim status. Now, if you were a true victim, that's a difference. But just claiming it because you were 17 and you were originally from another state that the age of consent is 18. But if you are residing in a state where the age of consent is 17 it behooves a lot of us to think that why was a person charged when they were actually living in a state of age consent. And then they might say, well, her change of address wasn't really clear. She was originally from that state, and but did they vet what her actual address was? And was she receiving mail in Chicago? In the state of Illinois, was she receiving mail? Because we can say that based on age there was a victim, but when we really look at this, I know some of you are going to say there was no victims, and I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm basing it on the age, if that is the case, and what they went back and used the state of Florida, where she was originally from, instead of the state of Illinois. But again, at the age of consent in Illinois is 17, and most people, even a baby, know right from wrong. And to want to be where you're at, and it's consensual, and to accept money and live and participate, and to be so strong about your convictions on a interview, and still this is where the accused is sitting, facing 30 years of incarceration. But this husband and wife participated in HST and transported their daughter to another city, encouraged and coached how to seduce the accused, a grown man, in a hotel or motel, whatever you want to call it. And then there was the inappropriate text messages sent to the accused. Inappropriate text messages. This is public information, people. So if you have not received this information, do your research. It's all out here. It's also in transcripts. You can go to different channels to get the information about this. And he actually, they actually lied about the minor's age. They said, alleged minor, the alleged minor's age. They lied about that because they said she was 18. She said she was 18. They told the whoever came, security, police, that she was 18. She did, said she was 18. She confirmed, that she was 18. So was she really 17 years of age? How come no birth certificates were shown in the court to help the accused? There's a lot of things that didn't happen in this trial that should have happened. And that's why I talk about the Me Too movement judge. Because when I say evidence that was not allowed or withheld or suppressed, I'm talking about things that could have showed the truth, could have put the truth out there, instead of just one-sided with the tails tilted against the accused. And then there was a past Facebook post that stated she was 18 years of age, that she put out there that she was 18, and that was some time ago. And they do need to look at those birth certificates. And I believe, I'm hopeful that would happen in the appeals. Pray that he gets his appeal, and that the birth certificates will come out of these accusers that was in the New York trial. But again, getting back to the wickedness of these people and their hearts, and what they will go to great lengths to get money out of people or to extort them. It's despicable. It's shameful. And we are dealing in times where we have a lot more information put out here than in the past, when we knew men were being wrongfully convicted. But to see it play out in today's society, and because we have access to more electronic tools and social media platforms, we can get the information much quicker than someone spending 30 and 40, 50 years behind bars for a sex crime they did not commit. Okay? And the fact is when you look at the human trafficking and the trafficking and the extortion and the distribution and possession, those right there should be charges already. Okay? And so I asked the question, where is where is the justice of a wrongful incarceration? I asked that question because um, you have you have the liberal feminine groups, the Me Too movement, all being able to hijack the judicial system to bring a conviction um, based on a documentary, Surviving R. Kelly, also known as Surviving Lies. Or I believe, in my opinion, that RSK is the real victim of extortion, lies, gossip, false allegations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can, see it for yourself. Um, and then you have um, R. Kelly's oldest daughter coming out now saying that these record labels were, had the contracts on the table ready for her to sign for her music deal because, she's a music artist. And when they found out, because she goes by what, Buku Avai, when they found out that she was R. Kelly's daughter, then they rescinded the contracts, is what she's saying. And you can pull that article up, you know, because I read it a few days ago. And then you have the wife that participated, with the other women in 3S's. And I believe that R. Kelly was trying to protect his wife. And, but she came out the wife and participated in being in victimhood, victim status. And it's really sad because she really interfered in the in the interfered in their children being able to have an inheritance, you know, um, generational wealth. And then she cried victim. And I understood that she was in some type of something she participated in over the weekend, and people are speaking about that as well. And so it doesn't appear that this woman wanted to be a real wife and support her husband, uh, even though she agreed to do so. It appears that she manipulated some too by reading the Bible and then doing things otherwise. And we can go back to Genesis and read in Genesis that God created the woman to be the helpmeet of Adam, the husband. So the woman is to be the helpmeet. And, and so it doesn't appear that she was helping in any kind of way to see to it, to help this man do better and be better um, in his music career and in his professional life and in his personal life. And it's really sad to see a case like this come like this, to see this publicly, and to have this man's, bedroom activities on trial. It's really shameful. It's despicable. And when you bring things like this, and you go back to the Bible, what a husband and wife do in their bedroom is their business. And you have prosecutors bringing out somebody's bedroom activities that may not be illegal because there may not been a minor, because they cannot prove it, and they've never been able to establish chain of custody because it was already violated and broken many, many decades ago. And there were a lot of copies made and copies altered, and there was no audio, and then there is audio, and you can hear the fake victimhood that's going on or in the video, just from what you've heard, or maybe you've even seen the video. I haven't, but just that out there. And then they are saying the video is still out here on a website. And so if this person is an alleged minor, why is it on a website? Because they sold it, obviously, and they got whoever got paid for it. And then you look at the LVA's father of her second child trying to get paid. And I again saw a post that was a Facebook post, but it was an old post about how he was trying to get paid and how he was going to see to it that she got paid if she was in that video, which was established that she was. So this is really sad. And then you have the accused, going back decades without any really genuine evidence. It's shady. And there is memories that fade. So can you really say that this is a case where this man should be found guilty? I don't think so. And then let's see. And then you had Gerald Griggs, that had to change the narrative because the ladies were of age. And he admitted that on Jamal Bryant's podcast or some interview. And it's really sad that he's allowed to still practice law. Um, you know, these attorneys definitely, and him too, should be disbarred. And no one should never, unless you want to participate in corrupt activity, then I guess you will choose him as your attorney. And then you have Tarana Burke, TB, and her team, of the Me Too movement, the constituents, I would say, interfered in the constitutional rights of the accused. You know, interfered in him, participating or, giving, being able to give concerts in venues, um, you know, the sale of his music, even playing his music on several platforms, radios, things, radio shows, things like that. And even some people trying to attack other people for playing their music, playing his music, maybe at a party, at a public event, even in your car. And I remember, and I shared this, but this was like in 2020. I had a conversation with someone that they're not my friend. I would say an acquaintance. And I was trying to build a friendship with this person, but this person actually told me that she started telling anyone that came to her house they couldn't play his music, which is her home, so that's fine. But they were at a public event, she told me. It was a dance teacher that taught dance, and she started to play R. Kelly music, and it was at a senior center. And the people got angry. And then they also did dance in the park, which is a public place. And the people, some of the participants, the women, got angry and basically bullied and threatened the dance teacher not to play his music. And what I told her was that you all are in the wrong, because two wrongs don't make a right, because people have a constitutional right, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom to listen to whatever music they want to listen to. And to try to ban this artist's music based on allegations, false allegations that haven't been vetted, that haven't been proven, and even in the court of law they weren't proven. But when you have Me Too movement judges and prosecutors and liberal feminine movement groups and the Me Too movement, and you allow people's rights, constitutional rights, to be violated and their civil rights, and to refuse due process to the accused, there's a big problem here in our American judicial system. And there was also, he was given inadequate legal counsel at some point. And so it's really sad that we have to see this play out in our American judicial system. And it's very difficult to change minds. Some people, when their mind is made up about false allegations, they will never, ever change their mind. But I have enough common sense and enough awareness to realize that if the truth comes out, it should set us all free. Even if you're not the one facing, any type of crimes, or you're not on trial, but the truth should set us all free. Why should we carry around burdens of the heart when the truth does come out? And even if you're not a person that believed, now you should become a believer. And if you were a person that says, you know what, no, I want to know the truth. And I'm one of them people. I want to know the truth. I want facts. I'm just not going to jump on bandwagons. I'm not easily persuaded. I'm just not. And I'm going to just be honest with you. I'm not easily persuaded by just somebody. I want facts. I want the truth. And I also believe that there is a higher being. I believe in Christ. I still believe he sits high and looks low. And I believe that he will allow things to happen to people to bring justice the right way. and to get the truth out. I also believe that, when we go back to Job, he allowed, uh, you know, he allowed the manipulator, the liar, father of lies, the serpent, the devil, as we call it. He allowed those things. But look at how he delivered Job in the end and increased his wealth and all those type of things he did. You go read the book of Job when you have time. And so I do believe that God will expose people, but in his time. And sometimes we get impatient and we grow weary. But the Bible calls us not to get impatient, not to grow weary, to never faint, and to, we got to continue to run this race. We can't, stop running the race. We got to stay in the race. And so when you go to, Keith Merle, he said he accepted money from Lisa. He held on to it, and then he returned it to her. He also intercepted a tape. What did he say? He did not know what he was getting in the mail, or one day he received this in the mail. He opened it up. He was excited. And then when he looked at it, he shared it with other friends. He looked at it, and what happened? He said he didn't see anything out of the ordinary, just adults participating, in a threesome, in an adult grown folks activity, and I may be paraphrasing, but is that what he said? This came out in testimony. I can't quote word for word, but he received, okay? And then you have GK Kale, you know who that is. She gave a high five after the RSK interview, allegedly, is what they're saying, and she participated in withholding the truth. She had a biased attitude during the RSK interview. She gave parents the benefit of the doubt instead of seeking the truth. She disrespected the females that agreed to participate in the interview, and she did do that. And she talked down to them. But she also didn't give RSK the benefit of the doubt. And she showed signs of bullying when performing the interview. It's like she was bullying people to get information out of them. Even when, one of the females told her it was none of her business what she does in the bedroom. This lady was wrong on every level. And I wonder if she's going to come out, and tell the truth, about what transpired. And then I want to say stop human trafficking and hold all accountable. One man is not an enterprise. The transcripts and court notes suggest the real enterprise is the prosecutor witnesses that have all been granted immunity. And these liberal feminist groups have become rich off of alleged victims without seeking justice for real victims. Where is the money that is supposed to help real victims? And accusers and false allegations does not help or prevent HST. And when the judicial system does not hold others accountable, when the truth comes out, it only enables them to seek out other people to victimize, okay? And human trafficking starts at home. And we've seen in these cases where it started at. With the parents or the guardians. We see it. And then the public needs real justice for real victims. The public needs real justice for real victims. And if you are a real victim of human trafficking, the hotline for National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. Because, see, you can't hold others accountable until you hold yourself accountable. You have to be responsible, accountable, respectability, and credibility has to be there. And if you don't have the credibility to get on that stand and tell the truth, guess what? The accused should not be convicted because there was lack of credibility on the stand. Lack of credibility. And even with LVA, it goes all the way back to the first trial. Lack of credibility. But they keep wanting to do the same thing over, the prosecution and granting immunity, and that should not be. That should not be allowed. And the Supreme Court needs to get involved in this. This is the worst case ever in the judicial system that I have seen in my living years. And then there's no respect for humanity, a lack of regard for man, and the accused is facing a lifetime of incarceration. No respect, lack of regard, and they don't fear God. And then where's the accountability at? Where is the accountability of these people that participated in these crimes, in these activities and behaviors? And why aren't they being responsible? Why? Those are a lot of questions that we have that we would like answers to when it comes to our judicial system that's supposed to be fair. And for the ones working and representing our judicial system, that they took an oath. And are we not to question their integrity? Are we not to question what's really going on? We have a right to question these people. We have a right to speak out without being bullied, without being trying to be charged for a crime, because this information is already out here. And you should hold yourself responsible for a higher standard than anyone else expects of you. And that's Henry Ward Beegan. There are human rights. And not only are the, real victims' human rights been violated, but we also see the accused human rights being violated. Because if you're going to take a tape and transport it, distribute it, promote it, or promote it, or distribute it, promote it, and traffic it without somebody else's permission, they have human rights, and you violated their human rights. Even if you're on that tape, you violate the other persons that are on that tape human rights, because you didn't get permission from those other people that are alleged on that tape to do what you did, LVA. So you have violated other people's rights. That's a violation, because you should have got permission, and you didn't get that. You stole the tape. And if we're not going to hold people accountable, how can we help stop human trafficking? If our own judicial system, the people that work in the system, represent the system, like judges, prosecutors, district attorneys, attorney generals, whatever, if lawyers, attorneys, if you're not going to hold them accountable, how can we prevent and stop human trafficking? We will not be able to. And so when I think about, all of this, it is disheartening. It's sad. It's depressing. It's frustrating. And that's why we have to stay in prayer and pick up our cross daily and die to the flesh daily and continue to speak out, do the work, support justice, fight against injustice, however you support it, whether it's through monetary or speaking out and doing your research and giving up your time, which is a sacrificial offering by giving up your time. However you do it, to get the truth and the facts out there. Not lies, not, making up stories, not taking information and twisting it around for your own distorted wickedness, but the truth. Because I think most of us want the truth. And most of us are good people. But when we've been blinded and manipulated and believing that the media is going to always tell the truth, we have to start to up our level of awareness so that we stop believing any and everything that's put out here. And for people that have not vetted the information and they want to go along with the media, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. Because if you get in trouble, you're going to want empathy. You're going to want mercy. You're going to want people to believe and give you a benefit of the doubt and a fair chance. And instead of waiting for, the truth, people jumped on bandwagons. and said all type of stuff on their platforms and YouTube channels and Instagram and Twitter. Now I wonder if these same platforms are going to come out and talk about the other side. You know, the other side of what these accusers have been saying for years. But I really believe that there are some key players that need to be held accountable. There should never be any type of immunity of people breaking laws like this, violations of other people. There should not be any immunity. They should be charged. So, where is the justice? Where's the justice? Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please leave your respectful comments below. And again, I'm going to give this disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. The opinion expressed on this channel is not necessarily the opinions of others or the channel host, and it's also used for entertainment purposes only. And again, thank you all for tuning in. God bless you all on today.